edition of the Dan O'Donnell Show. Classical conservatism, contemporary style, and the only talk radio show in Wisconsin officially endorsed by former president and criminal defendant Donald Trump.
Your show is a very important show, and it's a great show, and we appreciate it.
And if you would like to join that great show, that very important show, the AdventNews.com talk and text line is open, as it always is. 414-799-1130, 1-800-838-9476. Email me, dod@iheartmedia.com. Find me on X, where you can watch the show streaming live at Dan O'Donnell Show there. Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show as well. You can also watch the show on our YouTube channel. Just search for Dan O'Donnell there. We begin with the Spring Green Cash Contest, and the word this hour is fun. Have some fun with $1,000 in your pocket if your entry is picked at random in our Spring Green Cash Contest. You've got until 55 past the hour to go to our website. Enter the keyword fun. That's F-U-N, fun. You can go to newstalk1130.com if you're listening to us on WISN in Milwaukee, or in Madison, WIBA.com if you're listening to us on the great 1310 WIBA. There, you've got until 55 past the hour, $1,000 on the line. We've already had 2 national winners on this show, and we are looking for a third. In a significant turn of events, the Heisman Trust has decided after nearly 20 years to reinstate USC running back Reggie Bush's 2005 Heisman Trophy. This follows years of controversy. Bush accepted payments while he was at USC. He won the Heisman. USC won the national championship. They were a dominant force. Matt Leinart was the quarterback. Reggie Bush was pretty much unstoppable. He had sort of a lackluster NFL career. I believe he was drafted by the New Orleans Saints, had a couple of good years, got banged up as running backs tend to do, and he was never as great as he was in college. He had to forfeit his trophy 5 years after winning it in 2010 due to NCAA sanctions against USC. But today, citing, quote, enormous changes in the college football landscape, including the acceptance of student-athlete compensation, the Heisman Trust has decided to finally give Reggie his Heisman Trophy back. The news met with widespread approval, many feeling that Bush always deserved to have his trophy returned. As part of the reinstatement, Bush will be invited to future Heisman Trophy ceremonies, and a replica of the trophy will be returned to USC. This marks a rare instance of the NCAA making a decision that's widely seen as the right call. It's hoped that this will set a precedent for future cases. Now, this comes almost at the same moment. Here in Wisconsin, athletic directors from across the state are meeting to discuss the possibility of allowing high school athletes to collect NIL money. This is what the NCAA's Heisman Trust is citing as it returns Bush's Heisman Trophy, because the enormous changes in the landscape refer to NIL, name, image, and likeness money. The money that flows to college athletes, because the schools and the NCAA itself have for years been able to profit off their name, image, and likeness. But because of their amateur status, college athletes have not. That all changed with a landmark lawsuit filed by former UCLA basketball star Ed O'Bannon against the NCAA, in which the Supreme Court decided that, hey, wait a second, O'Bannon and these athletes are correct. If the schools and the NCAA can profit off their name, image, and likeness, they should be able to as well. For example, O'Bannon, I believe, was on the cover of the NCAA 95 Sega Genesis game, and he said, hey, wait a second, why am I not getting a take of this? Why was no one ever paying me for using my image, my likeness, and pretty much everything except my name to sell video games? I deserve a taste of this. He was adjudged to be correct. As a result, the NCAA was forced to allow all college athletes to pursue endorsement deals using not necessarily their schools. For example, if you would see a Badgers running back, for example, NFL draft is tomorrow, and the Badgers are losing a pretty good one to the draft. Braylon Allen is projected to be probably somewhere in the middle of the third round. I think I saw his grade, second, third round running back. The market for running backs has changed a great deal since Reggie Bush was drafted in the first round. You have to be a generational talent in order to be a top 10 pick. I can remember, this must have been 20 years ago, Penn State's Keyjana Carter was like the first overall pick. Yeah, I guess that would have been 30 years ago, 20 years ago. I still see 1995 as 20 years ago. That's nearly 30 years ago. It's probably never going to happen again, no matter how good the running back is. But Braylon Allen was able to take advantage of NIL deals while he was at Wisconsin. Now, he wasn't able to use the word Wisconsin or Badgers, but he was allowed to say, "Hi, I'm Braylon Allen," and I believe he is allowed to say Badgers running back or Wisconsin running back or something like that. When I say he's not allowed to use Wisconsin, he's not allowed to, show up in his jersey or something like that. But he would be able to shill for, say, car dealerships. And he did. What was it? I think it was Holiday Automotive used Braylon Allen for its pitchman. Now, the WIAA, the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association, has allowed similar deals, or is on the precipice of allowing similar deals, for high school athletes. Hundreds of athletic directors are voting this morning on whether athletes can be compensated for their brand during their annual meeting. The national network News Nation spoke with some of the state's athletic directors, gauging about a 50-50 split in support for the proposal. But many of the directors say the vote may be trending towards supporting high schoolers securing NIL deals. This would be a proposed amendment to the WIAA Constitution, and if it passes, it won't monitor the deals directly. That would be up to the schools and the parents. Student athletes would also be prohibited from using their school's branding. For example, if you're a superstar kid like Con Knipple, senior basketball player, just led Wisconsin Lutheran to the state championship, one of the top teams in the entire country. He's going to Duke next year, just a phenomenal athlete. He would be able to get his own NIL deal while in high school, but he wouldn't be allowed to use, hey, Con Knipple in his Wisconsin Lutheran basketball jersey to show up at the local Culver's selling hamburgers. California was the first state to allow high school athletes to partake in NIL deals. It passed a law in August 2021. New York, Georgia, Louisiana, other states, Minnesota, also followed suit. A number of states, however, have passed bans on the practice: South Carolina, Mississippi, and Wyoming. Now, here's where this becomes sort of interesting. All right, this passes. How many athletes will actually take advantage of it? We actually do have Georgia's data. We have data from one state, the Georgia High School Athletic Association finds less than 1% of high school athletes have signed deals. And in fact, if this is to be believed, a total of 44 athletes. Now, 44 out of the thousands and thousands and thousands in the state of Georgia who play at least one high school sport is way less than 1%. We're talking about far fewer than who will ever get a Division I college scholarship, and far, far, far fewer from the athletes who will play in college. It's estimated about 5% of high school athletes nationwide will play in college, while about 1%, maybe slightly less, will get a Division I college scholarship. If you're talking 44 in the entire state of Georgia that ever inked an NIL deal, this is something that's not really going to take hold. And I don't think I need to tell you, high school football in Georgia is far bigger than football or basketball here in Wisconsin. And let's be totally honest here. The only athletes who are ever going to get NIL deals are likely to be boys basketball or football players. It's just the economics of sports, unless you get some transcendent athlete like Caitlin Clark, who, by the way, has sold more WNBA Indiana Fever jerseys than any NBA player this season, and it's not even close. She just signed, by the way, a $28 million deal with Nike over 8 years. I actually had it wrong. I thought she was going to sign a way bigger deal than that because of the potential for her to dominate the girls' shoe category. I thought she was going to sign somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 million and they would do some lifetime deal because, of course, Nike wants to be woke, right? So Nike's going to say, oh, we signed the first female athlete to a $100 million deal. Don't be surprised if that's coming, depending on the sale of her signature shoe, which is coming out this summer. But Wisconsin is not typically a huge high school sports state. When you think of high school sports, what do you think of? What state? Friday Night Lights, right? Texas. Football in Texas. Taking a wild guess that an athlete in Texas, or maybe high school baseball in Texas or Florida, or a southern state where the kids are able to play baseball all year round. Now, don't make a mistake. Clearly, top-tier athletes can come out of Wisconsin. Right now, we had a kid who absolutely destroyed the Bucks last night, Tyrese Halliburton, coming out of Oshkosh. You have Tyler Hero at my alma mater of Whitnall. You've got all sorts of kids. Knipple is probably going to play in the NBA, if I had to guess, based on where he's ranked nationally for high school prospects. You've got a lot of players. Jordan Poole is from Milwaukee, right? I forget what school he went to. You've got another guy who is on the Golden State Warriors, Kayvon Looney, another Wisconsin guy. So there are kids who are going to get potential NIL deals. I don't think the money is going to be that great. However, even though it is going to be such a small sliver of the number of kids who play high school sports that are actually even in contention for these NIL deals, the prospect of getting paid has the potential to upend the high school landscape in that top-notch kids from, say, an AAU team that's just dominant. They do this now, and I'm using basketball as the example because there's really no AAU football. Football is actually the one sport where the privately run clubs have not just completely taken over and dominated. Do you realize that it's impossible? If you just play, say, high school basketball, unless you're the next LeBron James, you're not getting a college scholarship unless you're playing on the AAU circuit in the summer. And the reason for that is college scouts are no longer going to some they're never going to find the hick from French Lick playing in Indiana in some tiny little rural community because it's expected that the prospects will all go to them at these high-powered tournaments and showcase events. So instead of going to Milwaukee or instead of going to Dubuque, Iowa, instead of going to suburban Illinois, all of the top prospects will go to a showcase camp in Chicago. So if you're chasing a scholarship, now what's to say? Now look at how nutso parents have gotten chasing the vanishingly small possibility of a college scholarship. And do you know what most parents don't know about college athletic scholarships? Outside of basketball and football, your chances are not going to get a full scholarship. Let's say it's the soccer team, and the soccer team has 11 scholarships. Those scholarships don't go to 11 players. Those scholarships go to like 20 players who get about a half scholarship. So you're still paying to go to college. You get a discount, to be sure. And yes, a lot of times the schools, especially private schools, will give athletes a break on tuition through grants and through, donor money and whatever else. But Imagine all of the parents who are traveling all over the country every weekend, chasing a scholarship, also not realizing that the amount of money they're paying for travel sports they could put in an EdVest account, and even at a conservative 5% rate of return, that $10,000 a year that you're spending on youth sports could easily cover tuition at any school in 10 years. Nonetheless, imagine how much more competitive and imagine how much more professionalized, even for that tiny, less than 1% chance of getting endorsement money in high school. Philosophically, I am opposed to this for that. And practically, remember, we had a soundbite from the president of the WIAA, Stephanie Hauser, a couple of weeks ago saying, well, the only argument people seem to have against this is philosophical. No, there's a very practical argument. What NIL money has led to in college is kids basically jumping from school to school, selling themselves out to the highest bidder. I don't have a problem with that at all. My goodness, if you can make money playing basketball, if you can make money playing football, do you know what percentage of NCAA Division I athletes will ever play professional sports? 1%. Roughly 1%. So professional athletes are literally the 1% of the 1%. Now consider all of the kids who play high school sports. It's a tiny, tiny percentage. If you're in that 1% that can actually play in college and can actually get a Division I scholarship, especially in a sport where someone is going to pay you some money, brother, you take that money. Sister, you take that money. And if NIL money passes in high school, absolutely take it. I'm not going to sit here and deny somebody an ability to make a living, but what I am going to tell you is that even if it only happens a handful of times a season, what you're going to see, and this is the thing that I don't think anybody is really understanding, AAU coaches, especially in basketball, but also some of these baseball academy teams, because the pressure on them to keep churning out Division I talent is so great. You get, and they want these kids to be playing together as much as possible. What you're going to see is having, say, and I'm just going to pick one at random because it's the first one that popped into my head. Great place, by the way. They used to sponsor me when I did the Brewers postgame show, Hitters Baseball Academy. And please don't miss, I've literally, you know what, let's use a fictional academy. Let's call it the Dan Baseball Academy. So Dan Baseball Academy really wants the top prospect, Dave Michaels, to play with his other top prospects who play for, let's say, Dan and Dave High School. I would pay the parents, or at the very least, say, all right, I'm going to give you tuition to the Dan Baseball Academy for free if you just agree to transfer your kid over to the Dan and Dave High School so we can show college scouts, hey, look at this kid won a state championship. We've got all of these teams stacked. Basketball, the AAU coaches who are getting paid a good amount of money at the top tier level. I'm talking about the top levels. I'm talking about the ones who are like sponsored by Nike to deliver the very top players in the country. I'm not talking about the dad of the small forward who got pressed into coaching because nobody else could, okay? They're a completely different ballgame, no pun intended. He is going to have pressure to say, all right, we got all of the top, we are winning top tier tournaments. We're getting our kids in front of the best scouts. We're getting them scholarships at the Dukes, at the North Carolinas, at the top schools in the country. In order to do that, the kids need to play together as much as possible. So we use NIL money to further induce all of the kids to transfer over together to play in high school. Again, this isn't going to happen often, and the Georgia data suggests that it's going to happen far less than 1% of the time. Far less than 1% of kids are even going to get NIL money to begin with, and that NIL money, let's face it, is not going to be particularly big. But I think there are far more compelling arguments against allowing this than the WIAA, which seems hell-bent on allowing them. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show, classical conservatism, contemporary style.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style. This is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Attend Biz Expo May 22nd at Brookfield Conference Center. Learn how to build a legendary brand by creating raving fans from keynote speaker and author Scott Wozniak. Attend strategy seminars on company culture, business growth, AI and cybersecurity, leadership, exit planning, tax savings for business, and more. Network and connect with your peers and the region's leading product and service providers. Biz Expo is Wednesday, May 22nd. Register to attend at biztimes.com/bizexpo.
At Weedman Lawn Care, the term care in our name is more than part of our title. It's the heart of our company culture. If we don't care and support our team members, how can we expect them to care for you and your lawn? As evidenced by Weedman's 5-star reviews online, we consistently show our sincere care for our customers' needs. And we absolutely care for the communities we serve by donating to local schools, baseball fields, food banks, and the Ronald McDonald House. Go to weedman.com now. Our caring culture will give your family the lawn it deserves.
As Milwaukee welcomes the Republican National Convention, we're going to need all hands on deck to put Milwaukee's best foot forward. The MKE 2024 Host Committee is looking for thousands of volunteers to help welcome guests to Milwaukee, and they need your help. To learn more, dial pound 250 on your phone and say volunteer. Again, that's pound 250, keyword volunteer. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message from iHeartMedia. Paid for by the MKE 2024 Host Committee.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. And feel the difference of Relief Factor.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations waiting for you to explore right now, like One Hit Wonders Radio. The greatest one-hit wonders of all time.
I don't mind the sun sometimes.
Ones you definitely remember.
I smell sex and candy.
And ones that'll make you say, oh yeah. Just open the free iHeartRadio app, search One Hit Wonders, and listen now, commercial free. Free never sounded so good.
The next generation is here. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Just looking at the clock and realizing, wow, I had way more to say about high school NIL deals than I thought I did. So this segment is going to be just a little short. We have got a lot of fun stuff on the show. I have got to share with you a story that was passed along to me about the, of all people, of all organizations, the Southern Wisconsin Bird Alliance. When the left has come for our bird alliances, you know there is nothing they will not infect with political ideology. The Southern Wisconsin Bird Alliance has a lesson plan in which they teach kids as young as 4th grade that transgenderism and homosexuality are actually common amongst plants and animals. Only they never actually say that there is any transgenderism or homosexuality in plants because, you know, plants don't have gender the way animals do, if at all. Also, animals, the examples that they cite show that it is vanishingly rare in the animal kingdom, and actually make the opposite point than I think the Woke Bird Alliance wants to. So we had a lot of fun with that yesterday on the Mark Belling Late Afternoon Show. I'm going to give you some of the pertinent details in just a second. Also, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel is freaking out that there are not enough black people on juries. But in this hysterical article, in this hair on fire, oh my goodness, black defendants in Milwaukee can't possibly get a fair trial because they don't have juries of their peers. We noticed something. We noticed an accidental revelation about a real crisis in Milwaukee. Think about where exactly juror lists are pulled from. How do they know that you're eligible to serve on a jury in Milwaukee County or any county? And then think about what a whole lot of people in the city of Milwaukee, a disproportionate number of young black men, don't have. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. All that and more coming up. Stay tuned.
There's so many things in life you must conform to.
So, it's nice to know that there's a sectional that conforms to you.
Meet the Simply Yours sectional sofa from Penny Mustard.
Simply amazing.
Create a configuration that fits your taste and space.
The options are simply endless.
Choose your favorite arms, legs, and fabric,
including leather or pet and kid-friendly fabrics.
Simply unique.
This sectional even comes with a sleeper sofa option for those late-night binge sessions.
This is the sofa made with you in mind.
The Simply Yours sectional is simply the best.
You know, this reminds me of my favorite nursery rhyme character.
Who's that?
Simply Simon.
The Simply Yours sectional sofa, Sophisticrafted in Wisconsin, with ultra-high resiliency foam, cushions, and fortress frame construction, starting at $41.56 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
NBA fans, listen up. You've got to try Pick 6, the newest real money fantasy app from DraftKings, an official partner of the NBA. Getting started is simple. Select if a player will have more or less of a stat. For example, will he have more than 1 rebound or less than 3.5 assists? I've had a lot of fun playing Pick 6, and I know you can too. Pick your favorite players, compete against others for huge cash prizes. Download the new DraftKings Pick 6 app now and get started with code WISN. New customers can get up to $200 back in Pick 6 credits if your first pick set loses. Only on Pick 6 from DraftKings with code WISN. The crown is yours. One offer per new customer. First qualifying pick set winnings less entry fees must generate negative number. Max reward up to $200 equal to amount of negative number. Issued in non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits valid for Pick 6 use only. Expire after 180 days. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 18 plus in most eligible states. Age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. Pick 6 not available in all states. For up-to-date list of states, visit dkng.co/pick6states. Void where prohibited. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Get tickets to all Brewers games now, including a weekend showdown against the Yankees, April 26th through the 28th. Don't miss a City Connect tumbler giveaway on the 27th. Get seats at brewers.com/tickets.
Well, that's why you have to check out our website. We're pretty proud of our before and after photos because they show off just how good we really are. I can confidently say that whatever you bring us, we're going to use every bit of magic we have to turn it into a one-of-a-kind work of art. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. If it's worth restoring, we're going to tell you. If it's not worth the cost of restoring, then we're going to give you an honest answer. You don't stay in the furniture finishing business for nearly 50 years unless you're honest and talented. Luckily, we're both, and that means all of your expectations will be met. So if you want only the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts.
An unsuspecting driver at a gas station in Wisconsin.
Welcome, Pump 15. How you doing?
Great.
Were you wearing your seatbelt today?
I never wear my seatbelt.
We're going to get him. We're going to get him real good.
Oh, my goodness.
Hello, sir. How you doing? Dollar Driver. It takes 1 second to strap a seatbelt on. Well, let's do this. Let's do it together. Now, don't that feel better?
Donald Driver can't always be there to remind you.
Click it or ticket.
And let's reduce fatalities on Wisconsin roadways.
And I should have recognized your voice when you're harassing.
I'm watching you.
Sponsored by Wisconsin DOT.
Join News Talk 1130 this Saturday at 4 p.m. for The Word on Medicine, the show that brings you the latest medical innovations and discoveries by physicians and scientists at the Medical College of Wisconsin. That's Saturday afternoon at 4 on News Talk 1130, WISN.
It's happening daily. We're being conned by the institutions we used to trust. The mainstream media is distracting us with meaningless headlines instead of focusing on the harsh realities facing American families. Time is short before something big happens, and that's why so many folks are preparing. They're becoming self-reliant by investing in emergency food storage from My Patriot Supply. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com and secure 4-week emergency food kits for each member of your family. Each kit contains tasty breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Save $50 on each 4-week food kit you purchase. Plus, get free shipping on Ready Hour 4-week emergency food kits. You're not ready if it's not Ready Hour Foods. At My Patriot Supply, you can also get solar power generators, water filtration units, heirloom seeds, and survival gear. Order by 3 p.m. and your unmarked boxes ship the same day. Shop MyPatriotSupply.com today. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Hi, I'm Graham Class, host of Technically Speaking, an Intel podcast. Join me for Season 2 as we explore the future of technology evolving today. In each episode, I'll speak with the minds transforming medicine, healthcare, retail, entertainment, personal computing, and more with the help of AI. Join me every other Tuesday and explore the latest technology changing our world today and creating a more accessible tomorrow. Listen to Technically Speaking, an Intel podcast on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Bucks get blown out at home in Game 2 of their NBA playoff first-round series against the Indiana Pacers. The final score, 125-108, but it was nowhere near as close as that. The Pacers just beat the Bucks in every sense of the phrase. Pascal Siakam, I said yesterday I did predict that the Bucks would win, but I did say I'm a big fan of Siakam and look for him to have a big game. He had 37, and favorite son Tyrese Halliburton, well, not exactly favorite son when he's playing against the Bucks. Halliburton, of course, grew up in Oshkosh, played his high school ball there. He had a disappointing game. He did have 12 assists, but only 12 points. He was 4 of 10 from the field, 3 of 7 from three-point land. But he's making headlines across the country today, not for his play, but what he said happened to his brother during Game 1 on Sunday evening.
I mean, my fam came out, showed love, and it's been good to have them here. You know, this has been, my little brother in the stands the other day was, called the N-word, and so, it was important for us as a family, to just address that, and that was important for us to talk about, because that just didn't sit right with anybody in our in our family.
I should say not. So what exactly happened? What was the context behind this? ESPN.com asked the Bucks about those comments. Bucks spokesperson responds, an arena guest services representative reported that during Sunday's game, a few guests were not sitting in their correct seats. That would be Halliburton's family or his friends, including his brother. The guest services representative asked the group to move one section over to their correct seats. Then, one of the individuals in the group claimed to the representative that a person sitting in front of him had used a derogatory term toward him. The accused person denied the accusation. The group moved to their correct seats, and no further incident was reported. We take our fan environment extremely seriously and are committed to providing a safe and secure experience. Halliburton said the Pacers did a good job of handling this environment. The conversation in the stands, it's friendly during the regular season because I'm the hometown kid, but it's a little different when you're visiting in this environment. So the guy who allegedly said the N-word denied it. There was obviously some sort of, maybe not confrontation, but they weren't in their right seats. My guess is that the people in front of them were the ones who called the usher over because they're like, hey, wait a second, these are supposed to be our seats, or someone else came over. Is it possible that someone said something bad? Yes. Do we know the race of the person who said the racial slur? That would obviously make a big difference, right? We don't. Doesn't sound like anyone was ejected. I don't think Halliburton is lying or his brother is lying. I have no reason to believe that. It just sounds like one of those things that happens. Now, is this going to be blown up into a big deal about how all Bucks fans are racist? I don't know. It is the fourth leading story on ESPN.com right now. NFL draft is tomorrow. That's the top story. Reggie Bush, as we reported at the top of the show, getting his Heisman back. That's another one. The Steelers not picking up the option on Justin Fields. Oh, boy, I feel bad for that kid because I'm told he's just a really, really, really nice guy. But just like pretty much everybody else in the quarterback class of 2021, just did not pan out. And then the story is Halliburton, brother called racial slur by fan in Game 1. So the sports media is hot to trot about, racial justice in sports. How about racial justice in the justice system? Big, big story. Chris Ramirez in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Couple thousand words fretting about the makeup of juries in Milwaukee County. Facing mostly white juries, are Milwaukee County defendants of color truly tried by their peers? Yes. Unless, of course, Chris Ramirez objects to black jurors in Milwaukee County trying white defendants. So if there's a black guy, let's say I am criminally charged, let's say the left finally gets their wish, and talk radio is criminalized as hate speech. Yeah. In this draconian future, I am locked up. John Chisholm finally gets his chance to prosecute Dan O'Donnell. There's a black guy on my jury. Would I be able to strike him and say, look, I don't have a jury of my peers. This black dude is not my peer. How racist would that possibly sound, right? In fact, it is unlawful to strike jurors. You are given what are known as an attorney, a peremptory strike. You can strike a juror for pretty much any reason or no reason at all. You don't like the way the guy looked at your client, which, believe it or not, is a more common reason than you would think. In fact, attorneys actually employ jury experts whose entire job is to get the most favorable jury put together on behalf of a client. It's a lucrative field. The only thing you are not allowed to do is to strike a juror because of their race, because of their gender, because of their sexuality, because of their belonging in some protected class, right? You can't be racist in jury selection, but the entire concept of this article is that juries are racist. But you have to go all the way down to about the third section of this piece until you realize the real reason that there aren't a whole lot of black jurors relative to the population of Milwaukee County serving on jurors. For years in Wisconsin, selecting a jury has meant assembling a panel derived from state driver's license data sets. Roughly 200,000 summonses for jury service are issued each year, according to the Wisconsin court system. These summonses result in about 65,000 individuals reporting to courthouses for jury duty. The summonses are drawn from the estimated 4.3 million people who, according to state transportation records, were registered to drive motor vehicles in Wisconsin. The reliance on driver's licenses has been a major factor in the lack of diversity in Milwaukee County juries. Just 22% of 18-year-old black men in the country have a driver's license, compared with 31% of white men the same age, according to a 2015 report by the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee Employment and Training Institute. The same institute found that 47% of black adults in Wisconsin in 2005, its most recent citation, held valid driver's licenses, compared with 73% of white adults that year. Add in that Milwaukee County is by far the busiest courthouse with roughly 150,000 case files each year, many of which require a jury. The result, black defendants in the county are proportionately less likely to face black jurors at trial. Chris Ramirez has accidentally revealed a massive problem here in Milwaukee County, and it has absolutely nothing to do with racist juries or racist court systems or even the court system at all. Why is it so few black males have driver's licenses? Fewer and fewer people have driver's licenses, and I believe that this is a generational thing, that with younger people choosing much more than their peers to delay starting a family, they're living downtown, they're living in walkable and Uberable neighborhoods, so they feel no need to get a driver's license. And also, you would be surprised, I've got a 16-year-old son who does have a driver's license. A lot of his friends, a lot of his peers are, I don't really need a driver's license. I can be driven around by friends or mom and dad or an older sibling. I don't really need it. It's just a generational thing. But you also have a crisis of reckless driving in southeast Wisconsin, centered primarily, and nobody else wants to say it, so I will, centered primarily in black neighborhoods with primarily black reckless drivers who either never had a driver's license or had it suspended or revoked and never bothered to get it back but kept on driving. That is the real crisis here that's unveiled by this report. Now, of course, it's cloaked in systemic racism, and these defendants can't possibly get a fair trial. Well, maybe, hear me out, maybe if we had more people of all races, because the percentage of white drivers or percentage of white adults of driving age who don't have a driver's license is also down substantially over the past 20 years, maybe we would get more black people on juries. So now they want to go to state ID cards, and I believe we have gone to state ID cards. You are, within a couple of weeks. For the first time, residents who hold state ID cards are now part of a statewide master list of potential jurors. Okay. How many people actually have ID cards? Here would be another question. Of all the people who don't have driver's licenses and who don't have state voting ID cards, how many are still being permitted to vote? Are we allowed to ask that question too? We name the unhinged liberal of the day next here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services, and I'm so proud to be a father, a husband, an entrepreneur, a Christian, and an American. My wife Amy and I did our best to educate our children about our reasons for embracing traditional values. Recently, Amy and I became empty nesters, and now our young adults are in the real world with the American dream in their heads, their hearts, and soon it will be in their hands to share with others. God is good. Marriage and children are a blessing. Capitalism works, and America is grand. She is rich with beautiful places to explore. She's a melting pot of beautiful people. Diverse? Yes. But we are still blessed to have so much in common. Ignore the politicians and the media who sow seeds of hate. Let's embrace the wonders of life, liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness in America. Join me in discovering the wonders of nature and the wonders of America.
Hey guys, welcome to the Home Box Stop. Ready for those new kitchen cabinets and countertops? Okay, well let's get you guys going. Inches, centimeters, inches, right?
Right.
Is this your first time? Oh no, been here for years. Actually, in light bulbs. I'm covering for Karen. She took the week off. 1 sec. No worries. The computer does all the work.
Customer assistance to light bulbs.
Oh, that's me, BRB.
Yeah,
let's go.
Granite Plus?
Hurry, here she comes.
Hi, I'm Laz with Granite Plus. Countertops and cabinets is what we do. As a meticulously detailed local fabricator, say goodbye to the middleman and upgrade your home with real factory direct savings. Homeowners, flippers, contractors, why would you pay more? Go to graniteplususa.com, that's graniteplususa.com, or visit any of our Milwaukee area showrooms and start saving today.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services. I frequently speak with people who are unhappy with their landscaping and they're unsure how to turn things around. Well, here are 4 tasks that will make a remarkable improvement to dull landscaping. Number 1, thick, lush green grass. We need food and water to be healthy. Our lawn care programs and irrigation systems provide your grass with everything it needs to thrive. Number 2, pruning. Regular, technically correct pruning keeps plants strong and vibrant. Number 3, plant bed edging and a fresh layer of bark mulch. There's nothing better than the look of crisp bed edges and fresh mulch. Number 4, landscape lighting. You finally have your landscaping looking its best. A landscape lighting system lets your landscaping come alive after dark. So there you are, 4 landscaping tips that amplify the beauty of your home. Please call Seasonal Services at 262-392-3444 or look for us online at seasonalservices.com.
Do you have a rotted wood window, foggy or broken glass, having a hard time opening your sliding door? Argo Glass and Windows can fix it all, saving the original look and your budget. Call us today and get a free estimate from Argo, where we repair first, replace at worst. Your one-stop window and door problem solver. Call us at 262-372-7110. That's 262-372-7110. Argo Glass and Windows, 262-372-7110.
Wondering what to get Mom on her special day? Let the friendly folks at Miners Garden Center help. Plants, hanging pots and baskets. Maybe it's a blooming tree, a fountain, or other yard art like bird baths or wrought iron. For a touching personal gift she'll treasure, it's Miners Garden Center. 20 acres of great gifts for Mom. It's gardening from the ground up. A family tradition since 1950. Miners Garden Center, 76th just north of Good Hope.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
We're throwing a party, and you get the presents. Hi, this is Terry Ludwig, owner of All American Window and Door. Our 39th anniversary is an event you don't want to miss. It's a celebration of passion, commitment, and you. Our 39th anniversary also means prizes, surprises, and savings that take the cake. Join us for great deals. Party this week at All American Window and Door on Mequon Road in Germantown. 262-255-7170. Estimates are free.
Top of the morning to you. Conservative thought, not just talk.
Top of the morning to you.
This is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Top of the morning to you.
It is time now to name the unhinged liberal of the day.
Make me crazy.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany.
Make me crazy. All white people are racist. Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil. America is over.
Today's unhinged liberals of the day are the liberals at the Southern Wisconsin Bird Alliance. Wait, what? Yesterday on Facebook, they posted, "We know that there is a beautifully wide range of ways humans identify, and scientists have learned that there are many examples of plants and animals that are LGBTQIAP+ in nature too. We created a lesson on this topic last year and recently shared with one of our 5th grade groups. It provided a great opportunity to build inclusive community within the classroom and led to thoughtful questions and discussion from the kids. If I'm one of those kids, my thoughtful question is, why the hell are we learning about this? And by the way, what is LGBTQIAP+? They keep on adding letters. It is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer or questioning, intersex, asexual, aromantic, agender, pansexual, and polysexual. The lesson, according to a PDF on the group's website, is done in conjunction with the Madison Audubon Society, and it is for grades 4 through 8, with options for adjusting for elementary students, kids even younger than 4th grade, through high school. How about for young kids? This is what the group says. We support kids learning about science in age-appropriate, question-led ways. Using words like sex and gender with young kids helps lay a foundation that these topics are not taboo and are just cool science. Okay, well, why exactly do we need to talk with super young kids about sex and gender? Again, why is that? My favorite part of this entire lesson has got to be this quote. A lot of the research on primates, like gay bonobos, is incomplete. White scientists have a long history of being uncomfortable with animal and human activity that isn't cis-hetero. That's putting it mildly. So a lot of observations didn't get published, or if they did, didn't get recognized. This may surprise nobody. They provide no evidence for this claim whatsoever. If you would like to see the gay apes and transgender fish lesson from the Southern Wisconsin Bird Alliance, check out my Facebook page, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show, the Southern Wisconsin Bird Alliance. Never thought they would be your unhinged liberals of the day, but today they are. President Biden speaking right now about the passage in the Senate and the House of the foreign aid bill, which dumps another $60 billion to Ukraine, also funding for pretty much every nation's sovereign borders except one. Can you take a wild guess which border we are not protecting with billions and billions and billions of dollars? Yeah, that's right. It would be ours. We'll discuss that and more. Plus, we play America's favorite game show, Guess What's Racist, all coming up next here on The Dan O'Donnell Show.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Good morning, I'm Ted Aylin. One person is dead following a police chase and crash last night in Milwaukee. It happened when a Milwaukee County Sheriff's deputy tried to pull over a 24-year-old driver who took off. Authorities say the driver ran a red light and hit 2 cars at 27th and St. Paul. A 69-year-old man in one of those cars was killed, while a 65-year-old woman driving that car was seriously hurt. No one in the second struck vehicle was hurt. The man accused of causing the crash is recovering in the hospital. Authorities say he was out on bail in Waukesha County. A new report says UW-Madison's rankings as a top university have slipped over the past decade or so. The report from the university's own Center for Research on the Wisconsin Economy said UW-Madison has slipped as both a top university in America and in the world. U.S. News & World Report says UW-Madison is the 35th best school in the country, but the Wall Street Journal has ranked it as the 79th best school. Internationally, UW-Madison has fallen out of the top 50 in one ranking and is as low as 102nd best in another. Most concerning, according to the report, is that UW-Madison is also slipping as a top research university and is seeing fewer federal research grants. The Senate yesterday overwhelmingly passed a $95 billion package to provide critical aid to Ukraine and enact a provision that could lead to a nationwide ban on TikTok. The 79-18 vote sends the package to the White House. President Biden said last night he'll swiftly enact the measure. Checking the WISN Sports Scoreboard, the Brewers resume their series in Pittsburgh tonight. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Ted Allen on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. Spring is in the air, and the deals are heating up at Lynch. Get this, Lynch has over 800 new vehicles on the ground ready for immediate delivery. Spring into savings with huge rebates and financing starting as low as 0%. Lynch has new Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, Rams, Chevys, Buicks, GMCs, and Fords on top of their fantastic new car selection. They have a huge inventory of pre-owned vehicles that come with the Lynch Protected Peace of Mind, a 3-month, 3,000-mile certified warranty, and Lynch certification that includes a 168-point inspection, plus a 10-day, 500-mile satisfaction guarantee exchange policy. The Lynch family of dealerships truly has your back whether you're shopping for a new or used car. Huge spring savings event going on now at all Lynch locations, or check them out 24 hours a day at shoplynch.com.
Here's the latest forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Becoming mostly sunny today with high temperatures ranging in the low 40s near the lakeside to the upper 40s inland, maybe 50 degrees. Cool, and we will continue to have a northeasterly wind about 10 to 15 miles an hour. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Lisa Michaels.
This report is sponsored by Bank of America. Bank of America has powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses, so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America, N.A. Copyright 2024.
Welcome to This Week with Annex Wealth Management. Dan O'Donnell alongside the president and CEO of Annex, Dave Spano. And this week, over the past few days, we have really seen something that we haven't in a long time. A losing streak for the S&P 500, Dave.
Yeah, last week was not good. Of course, we had 6 straight days of losing in the S&P 500. We haven't seen that since October of 2022. And what's happening is the Fed Chairman Powell is starting to rethink rate cuts, and the market is starting to digest that as well. He was talking about being more patient, Dan, throughout 2024 because of some disappointing inflation data. We looked at that, and of course now the betting markets are starting to push that rate cut not to June, but all the way out to September now, right before the election. And so the Fed wants to try to wait it out while American consumers are beginning to grow accustomed to higher rates and starting to get mortgages at higher rates, despite the fact that they are at higher numbers. And so therefore, Dan, will we have higher rates for longer? Something you and I have talked about for a significant amount of time. And how will consumers react to those higher rates? That's why when you go through your portfolio, some are doing better than others. And we're going to see that as earnings come out over this week and next. And the companies that beat will get rewarded, and those that don't will be punished.
We had just assumed that there were going to be multiple rate cuts. We'd see them in March, we'd see them in June, we'd see them throughout 2024. And now with inflation being much, much stickier than we previously thought, is it possible that we don't get a single rate cut this year, that decision, in fact, gets put out to 2025? We shall see. And this is why you do need to know what you own, why you own it. Head to annexwealth.com. For Dave Spano, president and CEO of Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. This has been This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
In this week's Marketers Report, we hear about the importance of local radio from Allison Griffin, head of marketing at State Farm.
iHeart has such a broad broadcast reach that is local, and for us to be able to touch customers with a local feel but at a national scale is so efficient and important for us.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, trusted influencers, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
Semper Roofing and Exteriors, where reputation matters and character counts. Veteran-owned and operated. Go to SemperFiRoofing.com.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Wisconsin's most listened to radio station. News Talk 1130 WISN.
Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for health care can save the typical family $500 a month. And that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. So maybe you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're much happier with. Here's the number you need. 844-53-BIBLE. That's 844-53-BIBLE.
Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, news, talk, and sports radio. Podcasts, too. Download the app. Free never sounded so good.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style. It is a tour de force of truth. The sort of truth the rest of the media ignores, if not actively buries. I'll tell you what, President Biden is speaking right now at the White House. He is talking about the Israel-Hamas war after a foreign aid package passed the Senate and now goes to his desk. Let's, if we can, for a little bit, listen in to the president.
But this vote makes it clear there is a bipartisan consensus for that kind of American leadership. That's exactly what we'll continue to deliver. I thank you all very much, and now I'm going off to make a speech at the hotel that I'm late for, and I'm plenty of time to answer questions on this and other matters.
Can I ask a quick one on TikTok?
And, of course, the president walked away without answering any questions. He's late for a speech, you see. He's got to go. He can't possibly take any questions. Yeah, the question there about TikTok. The Senate also passed a ban on TikTok that would take effect if its parent company, ByteDance, does not sell. If it's not divested from Chinese government CCP, Chinese Communist Party, influence by the end of the year. And now the big question is President Biden, in an election year where he's already facing shaky support amongst young voters because of his stance on the Israel-Hamas war, he is not sufficiently pro-Hamas for the young left-wing crazies, will he really ban TikTok? We shall see. AdventKnows.com talk and text line is always open. 414-799-1130, 1-800-838-9476. Email me, dod@iheartmedia.com. Watch us streaming live. Join Dan Nation. Be part of the conversation by watching the show on X at Dan O'Donnell Show, Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show, and on our YouTube channel. Just search for Dan O'Donnell Show. Please do like and subscribe on YouTube. Share the live stream on Facebook and repost it on X. As a reward, we'll give you a chance at $1,000 right now. Spring Green Cash Contest. Word this hour, green. 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 You have got until 55 past the hour to go to our website and enter the keyword green to enter the contest for this hour. We had one winner this week, one winner last week on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Let's get a third right now. Columbia University has just extended its deadline for the Tent City pro-Hamas encampment to disperse. Columbia's president is currently, quote, negotiating with protest leaders as the campus was forced to go hybrid, in-person and virtual, because primarily it can't guarantee the safety of Jewish students. Now, of course, the media was deployed to the protest camps. No one was allowed inside unless you are pre-approved by the protest leaders, like, I don't know, Ilhan Omar's daughter. And they said, no, there's no anti-Semitism here. We're just promoting the peaceful resolution of this conflict by screaming in the faces of and barring from campus Jewish students and professors. Okay, we just want an end to the genocide. Now, these protests are spreading all across the country. They may have started at Columbia and Yale over the weekend, a little bit before the weekend, but now they have spread literally all over. University of Minnesota featured a speech by, who else? Ilhan Omar.
For the last 5 days to see the discovery, while there is a discovery of a mass grave of more than 200 Palestinians in Khan Yunis, that our media, our elected politicians, our president, every single leader is spending their time and energy in talking about the protests as if you all are not here to give voice to the genocide that is taking place in Gaza.
Okay, first of all, there is no genocide in Gaza or Gaza or anywhere else. And I can prove it. A, Israel has not occupied Gaza since about a decade and a half ago. They pulled out of Gaza. What happened? Immediately, Palestinians started firing rockets at them. They burned synagogues to the ground. In fact, Israel itself was razing homes in Gaza that were belonging to Israeli settlers in order to just make a clean break. Okay, very next year, Hamas gets elected, and they launch a war about a year after that. The population of Gaza, the Arab Muslim population of Gaza, has been steadily doubling every 10 years or so, ever since the 1967 war. In fact, we've gone from about 3.5 to 4 million people, Arab Muslims, in Gaza at the beginning of this century, to about 6 million today. If memory serves. I'm using these statistics off the top of my head. I forgot to pull my research from my office. But let's take at face value Ilhan Omar's claim of the discovery of a, quote, mass grave in Khan Yunis. This is at the Nasser Medical Complex. Where are we getting this information? The Gaza Civil Defense Network, Colonel Yamen Abu Suleiman, says there was a mass grave with more than 300 bodies. Now, this is a CNN.com article that everyone is citing. Right there in the piece, CNN is unable to verify Suleiman's claims and cannot confirm the causes of death among the bodies being unearthed. In other words, this claim that Israeli soldiers were tying up and just massacring innocent people whose hands were tied, and this is part of the ongoing genocide, it's not provable. In fact, the most likely scenario here is that these were people who did die in an attack on the area. What we do know about medical complexes in Palestinian territories, especially in Gaza, is that they're used as military headquarters specifically because bombing them would be an impossibility because of all the civilian casualties. And even going in, there's an extensive tunnel network underneath pretty much every hospital, every kindergarten, every preschool in the region, specifically so that they can use innocent people as human shields, so that they can protect their military operations with civilian casualties if there ever would be an invasion. What the most likely scenario is, and you have to go all the way down to the 7th paragraph of this story to find out that these were people who were buried on the premises after an attack, after fierce fighting there. We have no idea how many people in this quote-unquote mass grave. How many people there actually were. Numbers vary from 35 to 300. My guess, if it's the Gaza Civil Defense System, it is probably closer to 35 than 300. Hell, if it's the Gaza Civil Defense, it's probably closer to 3. But let's take their numbers, okay? Let's take their numbers. Let's say it's 35. What happened was, because the Israelis also know that Hamas is holding hostages in these civilian areas, precisely so that it's very difficult for the Israeli Defense Forces to come in and get them. The Israelis exhumed this body. So what happened was these graves were dug. People were just buried there because it was an attack and you needed to do something with the bodies. So Hamas, or the Palestinians who happen to be, fleeing the area, quickly buried the bodies. What it's believed happened was that the Israelis came in and they did DNA testing on those bodies to see if anyone who was killed was actually a hostage, if anyone was an Israeli citizen, because remember, there are still more than 100 hostages being held 6 months later, and no one knows whether they're dead, whether they're alive, whether they're being starved, whether they're being tortured. So Israel has a vested interest in knowing, hey, did a whole bunch of hostages die here, or are these, Palestinian civilians? Unlikely. Are these Hamas fighters? Far more likely. And then what happened is, instead of putting them back in the individual graves, they put them in what would amount to a mass grave. But the implication with mass grave is, of course, well, this was a wholesale slaughter and this is the genocide that we keep talking about. Meanwhile, here at home, those protests that have spread from Colombia, you might think with all of the anti-Semitism and with all of the global intifada chants that there might be a little bit of a concern amongst law enforcement that you could see radicalized young people or actually Islamist terrorists in some of these protest camps. Christopher Wray, FBI director, did an interview with Lester Holt of NBC News and said, well, yeah, there's absolutely been an elevated risk of a terror attack on American soil because people are emboldened after October 7th. Who do you suppose has been emboldened after October 7th? The Jewish people who are still grieving the worst attack on them since the Holocaust, or the Islamists who praise October 7th as a great victory? Still, he says, no, we're not monitoring the protest camps.
So we thought that even before October 7th, if you and I were having this conversation then, we would have said that the terrorism threat was already elevated. But post-October 7th, it's gone to a whole nother level.
There's an environment right now we're seeing play out on some college campuses, the protests over what's happening in Gaza. Are you watching that warily?
Well, of course, demonstrations themselves are not something that we, the FBI, get involved in. But when violence ensues, that's when we get concerned, when you have threats of violence. And so we have seen, even before October 7th, we saw a significant increase, especially in anti-Semitic threats and anti-Semitic violence.
Are you actively monitoring these protests?
We don't monitor protests, but we do share intelligence about specific threats of violence.
Now, wait a second. Just a year ago, the House Judiciary Committee was subpoenaing the FBI because of its targeting of parents at school board meetings who are upset about some of the radicalized curricula in their kids' schools. You're saying you have got people chanting for an intifada revolution who all are in the age demographic of people who could potentially be radicalized. What we do know is the last time in the 1960s, early 1970s, that there were campus radicals. We did actually have domestic terror attacks. And you're telling me the FBI does not monitor protests? Really? Really? This is the same FBI director who refuses to say exactly how many agents were embedded in the crowd on January 6th. Oh, yes, we don't monitor protests. We here at the Dan O'Donnell Show need you to be a contestant on America's favorite game show. It's called Guess What's Racist. We are going to play next, and we need caller number 20 right now at 414-799-1130 or 1-800-838-9476. Caller number 20 will play Guess What's Racist coming up next here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
We find the best way to protect and uphold the reputation of our business is to hire good people and then take care of them. We really do love the people that work for us, and we care about what's in their best interest. And what that means to you is this: who do you really want on your job? Someone who's maybe underpaid or doesn't feel appreciated, might not have paid vacations or great work benefits? Our folks have all of these things and more. Vito and I make sure they feel appreciated, because happy people do happy work. There's a culture we're building here at Semper Fi that brings respect back to a very hard job. And that's why we know that our crews are going to do the kind of work that you expect. This is Brad Youngluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus.
Why is abbreviation such a long word? You'd think someone could make it shorter.
You mean like instead of saying buy one, get one, you can just say BOGO.
Yeah, kinda.
Through Monday at Hassleus Mattress, buy a new Sealy Posturepedic, Serta Perfect Sleeper, or Beauty Rest mattress, and we'll give you a free box spring or an equal amount off an adjustable base.
Or, in other words,
BOGO.
You're a man of few words. I like that.
Find a self-service showroom near you or shop online at hassleus.com.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. Are you still on the fence about owning gold? It's time to pull the trigger with the Oxford Gold Group and buy gold and silver. Nobody can predict the future, but we can't put our head in the sand either. The Oxford Gold Group are the pros. They make owning gold and silver simple and easy to understand. Call Oxford Gold Group right now, and you may qualify for up to $10,000 in free precious metals. Call 833-995-GOLD. That's 833-995-GOLD.
Are you ready to start a meaningful career in healthcare? Are you looking for a job that fits your work-life balance? Become a certified direct care professional today and make life better for older adults or people with a disability. WIS Caregiver Careers makes it easy with free online training plus earn a $500 bonus. See your name on Wisconsin's Certified Direct Care Registry. Sign up today at wiscaregivercdcp.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Conservative thought, not just talk. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Coming up, a new swing state poll yet again shows former President Trump dominating. Perhaps that's a reason he's on trial. I don't know. I just sort of notice these things. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show, and it is time now to play America's favorite game show.
Guess What's Racist?
Today we welcome in a contestant from Wauwatosa. He is Bob. Bob, welcome to Guess What's Racist.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, Bob. Here's the game. Bob, are you familiar with Guess What's Racist and how to play?
I am.
That's good, Bob. I like it. You're a man of few words. You are ready to get down to business. All business here on Guess What's Racist, and that's right, because this is very serious business. Bob, you and I, through this game, are going to explore just how racism permeates every aspect of American life. Now, you're familiar how to play. For all of those listening at home or in their cars who are not, I am going to give Bob a list of 3 things. All 3 things are going to be related. None of those 3 things, however, are going to be explicitly racist. One of them, though, within the past couple of days, will have been declared horribly bigoted and an example of America's systemic racism by a Democrat, by an activist, by a member of the media. Bob's job is to identify which one. Are you ready, Bob?
I am.
All right, Bob. Guess what's racist? Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, or Olivia Rodrigo?
I will say Taylor Swift.
That is correct. Perhaps we made that a little too easy, as she was the only white artist on that list, and she also released a brand new album on Friday. One of those songs, though, has activists calling her racist. The song I Hate It Here features an opening line in the second verse where Swift sings about how she and her friends, quote, used to play a game where we would pick a decade we wish we could live in instead of this. I'd say the 1830s, but without all the racists and getting married off for the highest bid. Clever enough lyric. The song does then continue by conceding, seems like it was never even fun back then. Nostalgia is a mind's trick. If I'd been there, I'd hate it. I was freezing in the palace. But the line about the 1830s has raised eyebrows, Bob, especially according to Newsweek, among black people who pointed out that slavery was still legal during that time. Women also didn't have the right to vote, and it was an era marred by many health pandemics, including influenza and cholera. Kiki Ray Rael, an anti-racism education content creator, argued how we define racism nowadays was not applicable in the 1830s when even slavery abolitionists of that time were not exempt from anti-black views. She says on TikTok, these people who opposed the institution of slavery also did not believe that African Americans were equal to white Americans. Black people were still believed to be the inferior. So even if you were an abolitionist, according to Kiki Ray Rael, you were still a racist. And Taylor Swift saying she wanted to live in the 1830s, even with all the racists, is herself racist. You are 1 for 1, Bob. Very well done. Here's question 2. Guess what's racist? Skipping the line at the DMV, skipping the line at the train station, or skipping the line at the airport?
Skipping the line at the airport.
You said the airport?
Yes.
That is correct. New legislation being proposed where else? In California would ban the company Clear, in which members pay $189 per year to skip security lines, as proponents say the service raises equity issues, given it effectively lets wealthier people skip ahead of passengers waiting in line to be screened by TSA agents. The bill is the first of its kind in the United States, and it would require third-party vendors like Clear to get their own dedicated security line or lose the ability to operate in California airports. Would it surprise you that a Democrat is behind this bill? State Senator Josh Newman says, according to Money Watch, it's a basic equity issue when you see people subscribe to a concierge service being escorted in front of people who have waited a long time to get to the front of a TSA line. Everyone is beaten down by the travel experience, and if Clear escorts a customer in front of you and tells TSA, sorry, I have someone better, it's really frustrating. You are 2 for 2, Bob, and your final question is right now. Guess what's racist? Eating, sleeping, or breathing?
Breathing.
No, I'm sorry. Sleeping is now racist. According to researchers at Fordham University and the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana, in the journal Child Development Perspectives. Sleep and sleep disturbances have consequences for the development of adolescents and young adults. In a new article, these researchers examine sleep during these periods, focusing on the effects of ethnic and racial discrimination. They conclude that improving sleep may boost health for all youth, but especially for those affected by racism. Tiffany Yip, a Fordham professor of psychology and the article's lead author, says discrimination based on ethnicity or race is a form of stress, and stress has been implicated in sleep disturbances. Rather than asking young people to sleep off racism, we advocate for creating sleep-promoting programs that have direct benefits for developmental outcomes, as well as indirect benefits by disrupting the negative effects of racism. Bob, great job. You went 2 for 3 on this edition of Guess What's Racist. Now, we don't have a physical prize for you, but your prize, Bob, is something more valuable. It is a clearer, more complete understanding of how you fit into this complex puzzle we call America's systemic racism. Does that sound good, Bob?
That sounds great, Dan.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for playing, Bob. And thank you all for listening to America's favorite game show, Guess What's Racist?
Hi, I'm Mike Madsen, owner of Color Wheel Painting. When you hire a painter, what are you really looking for? Is it straight lines? Good coverage? Is it really about quality painting? Or are those things just inherent expectations? Of course they are. Years ago, I figured it out. Color Wheel's success is about way more than the high-quality work we do. It's about you feeling safe and respected in your own home. It's about you trusting our geek-level expertise to do the work. It's about you receiving our courtesy around your family, being kind to your dog, and cleaning up well, because you don't need another mess. Ultimately, it's the experience, front to back and back again. And so, while there are a lot of people who can kind of paint, they can't do what Color Wheel does to make you feel great about every dollar you spend. There's only one Color Wheel painting, so look no further. Remodelandpaint.com. That's remodelandpaint.com.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Welcome to This Week with Annex Wealth Management. Dan O'Donnell alongside the president and CEO of Annex, Dave Spano. And this week, over the past few days, we have really seen something that we haven't in a long time. A losing streak for the S&P 500, Dave.
Yeah, last week was not good. Of course, we had 6 straight days of losing in the S&P 500. We haven't seen that since October of 2022. And what's happening is the Fed Chairman Powell is starting to rethink rate cuts, and the market is starting to digest that as well. He was talking about being more patient, Dan, throughout 2024 because of some disappointing inflation data. We looked at that, and of course now the betting markets are starting to push that rate cut not to June, but all the way out to September now, right before the election. And so the Fed wants to try to wait it out while American consumers are beginning to grow accustomed to higher rates and starting to get mortgages at higher rates, despite the fact that they are at higher numbers. And so therefore, Dan, will we have higher rates for longer? Something you and I have talked about for a significant amount of time. And how will consumers react to those higher rates? That's why when you go through your portfolio, some are doing better than others. And we're going to see that as earnings come out over this week and next. And the companies that beat will get rewarded, and those that don't will be punished.
We had just assumed that there were going to be multiple rate cuts. We'd see them in March, we'd see them in June, we'd see them throughout 2024. And now with inflation being much, much stickier than we previously thought, is it possible that we don't get a single rate cut this year, that decision, in fact, gets put out to 2025. We shall see. And this is why you do need to know what you own, why you own it. Head to annexwealth.com. For Dave Spano, President and CEO of Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. This has been This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
Get tickets to all Brewers games now, including a weekend showdown against the Yankees, April 26th through the 28th. Don't miss a City Connect tumbler giveaway on the 27th. Get seats at brewers.com/tickets.
Hi, it's John Reitz from Great Midwest Bank, and as a community bank, we sincerely appreciate our customer loyalty. Over nearly 90 years, we've done all we can to return the favor. Great Midwest Bank offers flexible solutions that bigger banks and credit unions simply can't, because our entire team is right here in the community. We love helping our neighbors when we're at work and then catching up over the weekend. Visit us at greatmidwestbank.com. Great Midwest Bank, your simply local equal housing lender.
Biz Expo is May 22nd at Brookfield Conference Center. Learn from the experts at the strategy seminars and keynote on building a legendary brand. Connect with business leaders and customers at Biz Expo May 22nd. Register at biztimes.com/bizexpo.
Hey, you confused about real estate? Sean Hannity here, and I can tell you as an active real estate investor, real estate doesn't have to be frustrating or scary. I called Justin Hoffman of Remax Realty Pros. Google Team Hoffman and check out over 500 five-star reviews.
Sleep apnea is a serious condition. And the worst part about it is, because it affects you while you're sleeping, you don't know what this condition is doing to you.
And it was scary because I found out that I was waking up 145 times an hour. 145 times. I was scared. I wasn't getting the sleep I needed.
And that's the thing. Someone like John wakes up after thinking he's slept all night, and he's been feeling run down for years, and finally finds out something really is wrong. This is why, for us, solving sleep apnea problems is so gratifying, because we really are changing lives.
I've had more energy. I'm getting better sleep. I've been told from my wife I don't snore, but honestly, it changed my life.
This is Dr. Madan Kandula. Solving your breathing triangle problems means a better quality of life, and you deserve that.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Results may vary.
Inflation, market volatility, global unrest, a presidential election. You're not alone if you're feeling stressed about your investment and retirement planning. Take control with help from Annex Wealth Management. We'll build a plan that works for you, your family, and your investment and retirement goals. Annex offers financial planning at every level. Just starting out, there's Annex Ignite. If retirement is on the horizon, Annex Comprehensive Wealth is a great fit. If you've got high net worth and complex planning challenges, consider Annex Private Client. Know the difference with a fee-only fiduciary. AnnexWealth.com.
BlueMountainExpress.com. We will improve your move.
Statewide. It is the only talk radio show in Wisconsin officially endorsed by former President Trump.
Your show is a very important show, and it's a great show, and we appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you, Mr. President. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Welcome back to it. The WIAA's athletic director is meeting right now. The meeting started at 9 o'clock, and they are just now getting to proposed amendments, which would include the possibility of allowing NIL payments to high school athletes. We are monitoring that meeting, and we'll break in with any updates as they... Do we expect a decision today? Yeah, no. We expect a decision like in the next couple of minutes, Producer Dave. New polling from Bloomberg and Morning Consult shows President Trump leading in 6 of the 7 swing states, including Wisconsin, where he's up 4 over President Biden. He is up just 1 in Pennsylvania, up 10 in North Carolina, up 8 in Nevada, up 6 in Georgia, and up 7 in Arizona. The only state in which he's losing is a state that I would actually predict that he loses come November, and that's Michigan. Michigan is very Democrat. In fact, I actually think it's probably more difficult for him to win in Wisconsin as well. Now, even if we give Biden, though, just based on this poll, and this is in line, here's the thing, folks. I know. Well, Dan, the polls. It's the best data we have. What I always tell you is look at the best data you have. The best information you have for the state of a race isn't one poll, it's all of the polls. I strongly encourage you to go to realclearpolling.com. Headline today in Bloomberg is Deep Pessimism Nullifies Biden's Recent Surge in National Polls. And of course, national polls are essentially meaningless. When I say tune out a whole lot of the noise when it comes to presidential races, this is what I mean. The noise is more or less every national poll. And no, I don't mean every national poll that I disagree with. I mean every single one, because a Republican can lose the national vote by about 5, 6, even 7 percentage points, believe it or not. And if a small percentage of votes in several critical states go for that candidate, they can still win and win relatively convincingly. For example, it went the other way in 2020, but the election came down to 45,000 votes across Wisconsin, Arizona, and Georgia. If just 45,000 people in those states change their minds, Trump is president right now, and Joe Biden is off at a retirement home somewhere. Now, in those 4 years, do you think 45,000 people, do you think it's unreasonable that 45,000 people who might have been on the fence and said, yeah, Trump, he's just kind of a jerk, he badly botched COVID, do you think they've seen pretty much every bill they have go through the roof? An army of illegal immigrants flood across this border. An army is selling it short. A new country being allowed in just 3 years. Literally, the population of illegal immigrants in this country is the 102nd largest country on earth at 7.3 million people. And it's probably well more than that. Those are just the ones that we know about. If the election were to be held today, and I even give, because Trump's only up 1 in Pennsylvania, let's say I give Biden Pennsylvania and Michigan, but Trump takes the rest of those states. He wins 278 electoral votes to Biden's 260. Now, again, there is a huge variable. And that is, of course, how many voters are still going to vote for Donald Trump if, and I think when, he's criminally convicted. The other question is going to be what happens if, and I believe when, the appellate court system vacates that conviction, because this case is, in New York, the most flawed I've seen. And that's saying something, because the 2 federal prosecutions, the only one that I actually believe does have some merit, and even then it's questionable because of the nature of who can and can't declassify documents and the nature of the Presidential Records Act, it is the Mar-a-Lago documents case. But when you've already got a precedent saying, okay, well, President Biden's documents pretty much strewn about everywhere in Joe's garage next to the Corvette and everywhere else Joe Biden has been for the last 40 years, it makes it more difficult to sustain this prosecution, given that the standard has been set. Well, okay, you're allowed to have some records. Now, the question is going to be, did Trump obstruct justice by refusing to give back those records? To which I would argue no, because this is completely unprecedented that the FBI was actually getting involved. In fact, I would argue the FBI was getting involved specifically so that they could criminalize what is typically just a back and forth between the National Archives and the former president's office. But the Manhattan case is by far the weakest, because it's federalizing, or rather it's localizing federal crimes. This is a case that, as Trump has repeatedly said, never should have been brought. What happens when he's convicted? My guess is that his poll numbers tank, because there are a lot of people who just aren't going to vote for a criminal. And that Trump, I always knew he was up to no good, and now he's criminally convicted. They don't know what actually is going on, but they vote. Now, what happens if a couple of months later, on direct appeal from Trump's attorneys, the United States Supreme Court, because time is obviously of the essence in a presidential campaign, weighs in and says, yes, this is completely unconstitutional. It was a state prosecutor overreaching, and in a 6-3 decision, because you know darn well the court's 3 liberals are never, ever, ever going to side with Donald Trump on something this consequential, the court rules, yes, the conviction is vacated. That would be a huge boost for Trump, and it would vindicate him in his claims that this is a witch hunt. It would also gather this momentum of the populist movement across the country. Did you see Javier Milei in Argentina is reporting the first budget surplus in quite some time, I believe 16 years for Argentina, after he basically fired 75% of the bureaucrats in his federal government? There's a populist movement that is boiling across the world, just like there was in 2016. It's a reaction to, I suspect, illegal immigration and the free movement of peoples in Europe from the Middle East, but here in America from all over the world, native-born, say, Italians, Irish. We saw massive protests in Dublin. British. They actually left the European Union in something called Brexit in 2016 because they didn't want open migration. They understood that there is something of value, a great amount of value, in having a national identity of being British. America is a nation of immigrants, but it's a melting pot of assimilation of cultures into one incredible, harmonic, mostly, amalgamation of all of this different. Just look at our cuisine. That is the perfect example of how America sort of melds cultures. We take different countries and different ethnicities and different regions of the world's food and make it uniquely American. Usually by adding a whole lot more butter, but we make it our own. It's uniquely Mexican, but it's Mexican-American. It's Italian, but it's Italian-American, and it appeals to everybody. What we don't have now is this sort of assimilation. And I believe for political expediency and political gain, political power, you've got one political movement, one party, the Democrats, who are intentionally trying to keep various demographic groups at one another's throats so that they can say, okay, we're the only ones who can come in and clean up this entire mess. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Conservative thought, not just talk.
It's spring, and Mother Nature is busting out the green everywhere. Here's your chance to stuff your pockets with that same color by playing the nationwide Spring Green Cash Contest. 9 times every weekday. Listen for the keyword, enter it at newstalk1130.com, and you could win the hourly prize of $1,000.
The Spring Green Cash Contest is presented by iNet Marketing. Inflation-proof your business. iNet Marketing, delivering measurable results. CreativeGeniusMarketing.com.
Jay Weber here. If you're someone who's experiencing shoulder, spine, hip, knee, or musculoskeletal pain, and a total joint replacement might be in your future, think Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Find them at orthowisconsin.com. At Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, their physicians are committed to providing the highest quality of joint care and specialize in same-day total joint replacements at their own ambulatory surgery center in Pewaukee. You can find them at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
Dan O'Donnell here for my great friends at Mander Collision and Glass, now with 6 locations to serve you. You hear me talking often about Mander's customer service. Well, here's one of their customers, Haley, who writes, I had a small chip in my windshield. I called and came in right away to see if it could be fixed. Mander had a glass technician in the building that day, and within 20 minutes of arriving, my chip was filled. Very friendly staff and great customer service. My husband and I have used Mander for a few needs with our vehicles, and we will continue to go to them. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Haley. Your loyalty is a reflection of Mandar's extreme dedication to customer service. They'll go the extra mile as a matter of policy, and that is why I tell so many people to go to Mandar. Now with 6 locations to serve you, Mandar truly is your best decision after a collision or for windshield repair.
This is Michael Lynch from Lynch Truck Center. For the first time ever, Lynch Truck Center is having a massive construction sale on over 400 in-stock trucks, which include Chevrolet, GMC, Hino, and Isuzu. You will not want to miss it. We're adding parking, 7 more truck bays, and expanded parts storage so we can better serve you, our customer. Did you know our experienced sales staff sold more Chevrolet medium-duty trucks and cab overs than all the other dealers in the state combined? With their knowledge on upfits, combined with our service department, we deliver turnkey vehicles for your business, including the right body for your application, bin packages, and even lettered when it's delivered right to your door. As a business owner, has managing your fleet grown into a full-time job? Our fleet department can help. We provide a free fleet analysis which guides you when to trade, help track expenses for maintenance, fuel, and even vehicle tracking. You'll be shocked on the money and time you can save, not to mention having new vehicles under warranty. Visit lynchtruckcenter.com and give us a shot. We won't disappoint you.
You know, since 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been committed to supporting our nation's first responders and veterans. They support America's heroes like U.S. Army Major Jonathan Turnbull. Now, Major Turnbull sustained devastating injuries at the hands of an ISIS suicide bomber. Tunnel to Towers gave him a specially adapted smart home designed for his needs. Join Tunnel to Towers. They're hoping all of us will donate $11 a month so this great work continues. Their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code MONTHFREE by May 31st. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Want to make your yard the envy of the neighborhood? Tune in to Brett Octenhagen's Seasonal Services Designer Yard Show to learn landscaping secrets. Visit seasonalservices.com and listen on News Talk 1130 WISN, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
Need a tree on the ground now? Cut and Go offers same day or next day half-service tree removal. We do the dangerous part, putting the trees on the ground in orderly fashion. You do the cleanup. A Trees and Tons movement. cutandgotrees.com. That's CUTNGO trees.com.
I'm Jim Cantrell, and I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
Join News Talk 1130 this Saturday at 4 p.m. for The Word on Medicine, the show that brings you the latest medical innovations and discoveries by physicians and scientists at the Medical College of Wisconsin. That's Saturday afternoon at 4 on News Talk 1130, WISN.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
If you or a loved one needs a personal injury attorney, ask around. Lawyers, judges, law enforcement officers, insurance adjusters, refer Warshevsky because we achieve maximum judgments and settlements. Their ordeal, their injury is about the money. Warshevsky.com.
Conservative thought, not just talk.
Look, we don't do talking points on this show. We don't do bumper stickers, sloganeering. We think about the issues and we make the case logically, and that's what I want you to do too. That's why I'm here.
This is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Welcome back to it. NFL Draft is tomorrow night, and I've been watching a little bit of coverage. I mean, I'm not totally immersed. There are people, my uncle is huge into the NFL Draft, and he, makes all sorts of charts and stuff. Who are the Packers likely to take? I am not nearly as into the NFL Draft as some, but I follow the coverage. I have to be well-rounded in what I'm knowledgeable about to present pretty much any information that, look, some people are like, well, why are you talking about sports? Why did you lead with Reggie Bush and his Heisman Trophy? Finally got back his Heisman Trophy today. Well, because it tied in perfectly with what I believe to be a big story going on right now, and that's the NIL money potentially going to the to the WIAA. By the way, athletic director is still talking about it. So the NFL draft is tomorrow. And what I've noticed, and this is sort of a pet peeve I have with all coverage of NFL football or all coverage of football kind of more generally. Football, more than almost any other sport, requires every single player on the field to be exactly in position, to be working in perfect concert to move the ball down the field or on the defensive side to stop a team from executing its offense. It's sort of like, as George Carlin famously said, war. It's two armies going into battle with their general, the quarterback, or on the defensive side, the middle linebacker. And they meet in the trenches and they try to advance the ball. It requires everybody doing their jobs. If you listen to ESPN or sports talk radio, you would think that it's a one-on-one game of the two opposing quarterbacks. And it's remarkable. I get it. The only position that is ever drafted in the top 5 anymore, it seems, is quarterback. Because quarterback, obviously, I think, is the most, it's easily the most valuable position on the football field. That's not up for debate. It might be the most valuable position in pro sports relative to every other position on the field. A goalie in soccer or hockey is very important, sure. I don't think you can have lackluster goalie play if your defense is spectacular. I think what the last couple of decades in the NFL has proven is that you almost certainly need an elite quarterback, and you need an elite quarterback who's not sucking up a whole ton of your payroll because you need to put in pieces around him. But all of the talk of the NFL draft has been around essentially 4 players. You can probably name them if you followed any NFL draft coverage. Caleb Williams, who is going to go number 1 overall to the Chicago Bears tomorrow night. Jaden Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner from LSU. Drake May of North Carolina, who has got, the guy's got Mitch Trubisky vibes all over him. He may well be a superstar, but anytime I hear North Carolina quarterback, I'm thinking of Mitch. And J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback for the NCAA champion Michigan Wolverines. You might get Michael Penix, you might get Bo Nix thrown in there. But you might have a generational talent in Marvin Harrison Jr., the son of Marvin Harrison, the Indianapolis Colts Hall of Famer wide receiver. And you've got great players up and down the draft. And I get that quarterback is, the most important position. But can we please analyze the NFL draft? Can we please analyze NFL football beyond just talking about who the best quarterback is? Look at the 2021 NFL draft quarterback class. You just had Zach Wilson traded from the New York Jets to the Denver Broncos. The only quarterback taken in the first couple of rounds in 2021 that is starting, in fact, the only quarterback I think from that entire class is the number 1 overall pick, Trevor Lawrence. And he's certainly had his ups and downs. In fact, as producer Dave reminds me, he's the only quarterback from that class, this is just 3 years ago, who's still with the team that drafted him. I think teams are so overvaluing quarterbacks that they're forgetting, drafting and developing a quarterback is important. But if you've got a franchise left tackle who's sitting there at pick number 3, do you really want to gamble on a quarterback who might or might not even be with your team in 3 years? The 2021 quarterback class is certainly a cautionary tale. And who's easily the best quarterback in the NFL right now? It's Mahomes, right? It's Patrick Mahomes. He wasn't the number 1 overall pick. He didn't even go in the top 10, did he? No. You can find a quarterback. Jalen Hurts. Arguably, right. Brock Purdy. Arguably, Hurts went in the second round. Purdy, arguably, along with Hurts, could have won MVP last year. He was the last player taken. Dan O'Donnell Show done for today. Back this afternoon with the Mark Belling Late Afternoon Show.